It's nice to have you all here with me. I'd just like to say that we had someone, many of you are not necessarily into A Course in Miracles, but I was giving a series on the flaw in A Course in Miracles, and I said that I would announce it to this congregation as well when somebody came up with it. I allowed people to listen to the lectures, and then when they decided they knew what the flaw was, they could contact me. Someone did last week. Someone figured it out, discovered. The flaw in A Course in Miracles, according to Robin, is that the ego is also divine, that it is not something that needs to be obliterated. And so I got in, I spoke about the whole thing. It comes down to the fact that the ego, which defines each one of us as individuals, is also a representative of the truth that our Creator gave us each free will. It's only that we're not awake enough to be aligned with this intelligence that gave us life and breath. So we use our free will and create a lot of inharmony and difficulties and problems without ever tuning into headquarters. But that doesn't mean that you obliterate the ego. You are in the process of your spiritual journey, awakening the ego so that the ego can serve love, which is what God is. God is love. And when you understand that and you're tuning in, you'll find different ways you can bring forth the expression of love in life and improve everything around you, including your own life. So that's it. The flaw in A Course in Miracles is that it does too often imply that the ego needs to be vanquished. That's not true, and it'll never happen, and you can't do it because it's the ego that's reading A Course in Miracles. And when and the ego is just too egotistical to screw itself over. Is there anybody here from another unity? Raise your hand if you're from another unity. Is there anybody here for the first time? Raise your hand. Keep your hand up high because we have a gift for you. Okay. Yes. All right, come on down here. Keep your hand up. All right. There's another person over here, so you should. I hate to make you do the walking. All right. Okay. So I'd just like you all to get in touch with how blessed we all really are to be able to have the kind of truth and sharing and insight that's being shared by Santisha every Sunday. She is amazing. And so look forward to her talk.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. My name is Mike Shadle. I'm the administrator here, and I usually like to start our services off with the most exciting thing possible, announcements. Without further ado, let's dig in. We're going to make a few quick changes here for the summer. Our Wednesday meditation that usually meets every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We're going to try new summer hours starting this week. It's going to be from 6 to 7. We're doing it an hour earlier and see how people like that, and we're going to try that out. So if you've been coming to the Wednesday meditation or haven't been for a while, try it out this week at 6 if that's a better time for you than what we've been doing it before. And that's an hour long, and that's always led by Jack and Norma. And it's free, so please check that on out. We're also switching over to summer store hours. Our stores are going to be open Tuesday through Friday as usual, but from 10 to 2 o'clock throughout the summer for now to let our staff have a little time to enjoy the weather and go have some fun. And as far as today goes, we are going to be following this service with a potluck right over here in Fellowship Hall. Please join us. Even if you have a dish to share, please bring it. If you don't have a dish to share, doesn't matter. Please just come hang out with us and have a good time. Santisha will be leading her discussion group following her service in Fellowship Hall and so on some designated tables. But either way, please come join us and have some fun. Meet someone new at our meditation today. And that is all the announcements for today.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see you all here today. This is the time for a call for prayer. If you're facing a challenge at this time, or you have someone in your life that's having a challenge, in front of you there are little slips of papers that you can write their name down. You don't have to say what the issue is. We know that Spirit already knows, and it's perfectly okay to write your own names on there. And he will come down, Steve will come down, he's the head of our prayer partners, and he will collect them in the center aisle, so make sure they get to the center aisle. And then they will be put in our prayer box and prayed over for 30 days, and then they'll be sent off to Silent Unity, and they'll be prayed over for another 30 days. So prayer is powerful, and we invite you to do this, and we'll sing this song just to call Spirit into this room and just leave the world outside, and just remember that this is a holy space, and it always is. You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Join us. Your holy presence living in me. And I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you. Now you know the words. Now sing. They say to sing is to pray twice. You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. And I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you. So grateful for you. And so it is.
All right, and now I would like to welcome to our stage today's special music. You're not seeing things. This is a familiar face. This is Sierra Samuel. She's been in our choir, our band. She's played on our stage in multiple, maybe not our band, but you've pretty much done everything you can do on this stage, right?
Pretty much.
Well, this is her new band. This is actually their first live show ever. Yeah.
We wanted to be.
Remember
we wanted it to be here.
Remember
Here.
this moment. You could say you saw this. Their band title is Likely Story. They met through a mutual friend who also was a huge member of our Christmas and Easter shows for so many years. So I'm just happy he brought you guys all together. Yay, Dennis was
Yay,
his
Dennis.
name. So Likely Story, please give us what you got. Oh, one other last thing. They are putting on a free show, or they are having a free show at the Wheelhouse in Longmont this Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. Come join them, check it out. But first show, get it.
All right. Oh, I want to say one more thing real quick. We just want to celebrate spring. This song is all about Mother Nature and spring. And hey, it's also Gay Pride Month, isn't it, this month? So yeah, this one's called She's a Rainbow. Let's do it. She comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair. She's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air. Oh, everywhere. She comes in colors. Comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair. She's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air. Oh, everywhere. She comes in colors. Have you seen her dressed in blue? See the sky in front of you. And her face is like a sail, speck of white so fair and pale. Have you seen a lady fair? She comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair. She's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air. Oh, everywhere. She comes in colors. Have you seen her all in gold? Like a queen in days of old. She shoots colors all around like a sunset going down. Have you seen a lady fair? She comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair. She's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air. Oh, everywhere. She comes in colors. She comes in colors everywhere. She combs her hair. She's like a rainbow. Coming colors in the air. Oh, everywhere. She comes in colors. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful way to start. So nice to have Sierra back on the stage and now has a new band to be in, and it's just wonderful to see the evolution of Sierra as singer. She's been in many different things here, especially in our choir performances and things like that, and then she was with Dinah and someone else, this beautiful acoustic group, and this is so much fun. It must be fun just to sing like happy, fun, like rousing music. I love it. Okay, well, and you all look happy doing it, so blessings on your journey with that. So today my talk title is The Law of Attention, Intention, and Desire. Inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for its fulfillment. Intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality have infinite organizing power. And when we introduce an intention in fertile ground of pure potentiality, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. I picked this talk title earlier in the week, and then it went all downhill from there. So I don't know if I'll try to get back to this topic, but it's hard to hold true to like what we do the advertising early in the week, and then it didn't go downhill, it just changed a lot. So it's like, I'm gonna touch on that a little bit, but not completely, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna share a temperature of the astrological measure of what's going on right now for the human experience, and you'll see why it kind of changed. The law of intention and desire as far as knowing and seeing source or spirit as real in this world is what this talk really should be about, because I feel like intention and desire sounds more like we're going to do a prosperity talk on the law of attraction of connecting with more supply. And the supply I'm going to be speaking to is connecting with the veil that's thin right now and recognizing that we have direct connection with this higher consciousness. And with the way that the moon is right now, it's bringing up shadow, and I'm going to go into that right now. Full moon, total eclipse in Scorpio. Friday, May 5th, which is this last Friday, at 10:34 Pacific time, we saw the total lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio as the sun near its exact conjunction with Uranus. The moon, which represents both our body and our emotions, both conscious and subconscious, will be shining her very brightest as she travels through Scorpio. When the Earth's shadow causes a pause in Luna's luminosity, she will find herself down deep in the underworld of our collective unconscious. Anytime we experience an eclipse of the moon, we can expect to have emotional truths revealed, whether on a collective world stage or in the privacy of our own minds. Since this event is occurring in the sign of Scorpio, who dwells cozily in the dark recesses, we can expect some extra deep material or information to be unearthed over the next week or two. Scorpio also represents endings, and an eclipse event coupled with a Uranus transit adds up to some potentially sudden purging, releasing, severing, or to put it more gently, completing. Eclipses are known to be a time when the veil between this world and the next is the thinnest, and these scorpionic vibes make it even more likely that we will see a lot of folks leave the planet right now. I mentioned that the moon represents our emotions. We should also realize that Scorpio is a water sign whose mixed nature can create teeming currents of hidden emotions that might end up expressing themselves suddenly over the next few days. Things are sure to bubble up from the depths of our unconscious, and we are invited to greet them as lovingly as possible. For when we encounter these buried and forgotten pieces of ourselves, and we get to engage them as the person we are today, our loving intentions will be a healthy balm of transformation. Because we are all magic. So, what we're told is more self-care in energies like these can look like soaking in a bath or grounding our bodies in nature, earthing, getting our feet on the earth, getting out in nature, sitting in that sun. Crying. If you feel like crying, cry. This is an emotional sign, so this is to get it out. It's like let the sieve off and just let it out. You don't have to identify what those tears are about. Those tears are important because they're bringing you into the next connection of what you're here to do and be. And so this is a falling away. Like it said, it's the end. It's an ending. Endings are really exciting and endings are really scary. It depends on how you look at it and which lens you feel like perceiving it from. Are you ready? Are you tired of the stagnation? Are you tired of certain energies that are living in your world right now? And are you ready to step in and not be afraid of change, but be excited of what is being birthed from this death? Right? So it's exciting. So when we're seeing that we're really coming up against something we don't like anymore, we don't want it anymore, we don't want to call it in our lives anymore, then we have to make a choice to step and pivot and watch where spirit is going to take us. Dancing is always an effective and cathartic way to move excess energies throughout our bodies with the crying. Allow the bubble ups and remember that the great thing about the moon is how often she changes her outfit. While this eclipse will be felt for a long time to come, these waves of emotions will not last forever. It depends on you. Are you ready to step in? So this seems to be kind of the common current of most of my sermons right now. I always say I can't really speak to things that I'm not experiencing in the human collective. I have a very unique and wonderful opportunity to step into the collective because I'm meeting with people all the time. I'm with people all the time. This is not a job where you're not meeting with people all the time and getting kind of a temperature of what is going on in the human experience as spiritual beings first. And there has been a lot of loss, and there has been a lot of people that have passed on in the last few weeks, and especially this week. Lots of animals are making their transition at this time. They're on the end of their cycle of life. And when we're in these cycles, it can be like, what else could leave my life? What else could change? You know, jobs might be ending. Relationships, big, that are not working may be ending right now. And we can look at the things falling away and start running after them and trying to collect them and trying to keep life to be in the backward movement and saying, I'm too afraid to step in or step forward or be in allowance of my greater good. But if you're willing to step in, feel the tears, feel the shadow of the things that are showing up that probably no longer serve you, I had that happen to me yesterday. I was just in the sunshine. I just had one little conversation, and it just triggered this childhood thing in me that just feels like I've tried everything to make this person love me, and I cannot make this person love me, right? In the way that I need this person to love me, right? I've done everything I could possibly do, and I have to finally just love myself regardless of this important person in my life who's supposed to love me is never going to love me the way I need to be loved, right? It's those kind of things. And it was a childlike cry. It was, I'm getting affirmations from my husband saying, it's like asking somebody handicapped to walk. Why do you expect this person to be different than what they are? You always expect this person to be different than what they are, and it's true. But there's the child that's still in us that just wants to be totally seen and loved by the important people in our life. And it's a good reflection to remember we're always growing, we're always healing, we're always reflecting, and especially at times where the moon is in a place where it's not just you. You're not the only one that's going through this. It's nice to know as a collective we're all going through it. Some temperature might be kind of slight and some might be a lot. But either way, everybody's in it. And it's a wonderful feeling to feel as a collective that we're not alone, right? So life experiences through time open our heart and mind. It's what grows your spiritual toolbox. Many of us probably have many tools in this toolbox. Some of us have grief legs. Somebody said that to me. She's right over there today. Yeah, the other day I said, I don't know what it is. I was explaining something, and I'm going to talk about it in a little while, a journey that I took one of my best friends on who just lost her husband. And the understanding of death. And the understanding that something new is coming, but when we've lost somebody that's more important than absolutely everything else in the world, in that glimmer, in that glare, you can't really believe that you're ever going to have joy again, or that you're going to even have purpose again. It freezes you. And she was referring, but you have grief legs, so you understand what it means to step into the valley of darkness, into a place where you feel so alone, and so undivinely guided, and then until all of a sudden you are so divinely guided that when you hit these times where things fall away that you're so attached to in the physical, we have a way to breathe through it and start to expect that something will have such meaning from this loss. Even if it's something that we think will kill us, it will always have some greater purpose for our life. So I'll be taking you on a journey into the phenomenal, into the lives of people who have witnessed the miraculous, who have been able to peek through the veil of life and physical death. I'll be demonstrating with one story how to recognize when Spirit is communicating with you and how you can learn to listen deeply and open your mind in order to experience something palpable. In some cases, the experience will change the whole course of your life. In others, it may just be the push in the right direction for an inspired day. Every time you have a direct experience with God, Spirit, Source, Mother Earth, just use whatever word makes you feel divinely connected. You're handed a tool for life to add to your spiritual toolbox. And so sometimes reflection and looking back at the really terrible times in our life, and we see what we gained. What did we gain from the experience? Like saying grief legs. I'd never heard it that way, but that was a really good way to put it, because I do have legs under grief now. I understand the grief process. I have been through it. And I've been through it many, many times with the loss, also with divorce. I've been through the loss of the picture of a marriage that you think is going to be and raise your kids and all those things and all that dream falling away. And how do you move through it and find hope, joy, purpose, and even a greater happiness, right? So looking back at the times when Spirit arrived, when Spirit swept in, when you thought you could not get through this situation, you felt lifted and held, and it's like the footprints prayer where all of a sudden you're walking, and there were two sets of footprints, and now there's only one because they're carrying you. You're in grace. That Spirit will never give you more than you can handle. It will definitely, a lot in your life, feel like God will give you more than you can handle. Trust, it's been tested on me, and probably been tested on all of you, and you're like, whoa, what? Really? Can I really handle more? And then somehow that grace picks us up and lightens the load when we lean on this unseen realm of holiness, of love in presence, of this evoked wind that is Spirit. Faith brings peace. So long as the bee is outside the petals of the lily and has not tasted the sweetness of its honey, it hovers around the flower, emitting the buzzing sound. But when it is inside the flower, it noiselessly drinks the nectar. So long as a person quarrels and disputes about doctrines and dogmas, he/she has not tasted the nectar of true faith. When he/she has tasted it, he/she becomes quiet and full of peace. This would be the grief legs. This would be the overcoming. This would be the awakening. This would be the moment that you realize that you are a perfect child of this source, made in the image of holiness. Nothing can make you sick. Nothing can make you afraid because you are made in this direct perfection. And when you have tasted that nectar, and it usually has come from a very difficult circumstance. A lot of times, we very rarely find light because we're in light. Most of the time, we find light from darkness, from a hurt heart, from a broken spirit, from an unhealthy body, from a divorce, whatever it is. And something awakens, something encourages us, something decrees us to this next thing, and all of a sudden, light. You could have never known light like this if you hadn't known the darkness that brought you to this ambivalence, this beauty, this thing that will carry you always, if you will only let it. Spirit is never lacking. Spirit is never missing. The only time you feel disconnected from this greater something we call God or Spirit, it's us. It's our unbelief. We should pray for our unbelief for belief. Pray for me, Spirit, for my unbelief to believe that something greater is at hand, regardless of what it looks like in this outer experience. So this beautifully written work is framed on my wall in my office. And this week it caught my eye. I read it over and over again, asking myself, why does this touch my heart so strongly? And I realized, being called to ministry, which was not in my childhood, if anything, it was very far from it because I watched my parents being it, and the work it meant there's no time off, that your phone is always available to everybody, and the sense of being a conduit of Spirit, until there was no other choice because that's what Spirit was doing. That's what it was unfolding in my life. And I had to answer it, and once I answered that, then my life flowed. But boy, did I fight against it. I was on the river going up the stream like, I don't want that kind of responsibility, that kind of, all of it. I didn't want to of it until I was just like, okay, Spirit, drop the oars. Spirit's like, yep, you're going to be sliding into the work that your parents did. And I didn't go into it blindly or with deaf ears. I knew what it meant. And when I read that, I realize that that's the nectar that pulled those oars off of me. I was beginning to live within the flower of the beauty and the sweetness of the spiritual life. And who was I to keep it secret, what I was experiencing from this veil thinning, from the loss or birthing my child to the other side and experiencing both worlds, and getting my wings truly, where I could finally love myself as a divine daughter of this greater something. I realized my yearning to live within this nectar that Sri Ramakrishna is referring to is calling all of us to move more gently in and through our devotional practice, healing any inner discord and deepening our wisdom. I hope you know that you are invited to join Spirit on this walk of heart awakening, that anything that's going on like a solar eclipse or being in Scorpio gets a bad rap. Scorpio is one of the most spiritual signs of all of the astrological signs because it represents death and endings. And if you've ever met a Scorpio man or a woman, if they're divinely guided, they are some of the most powerful energy people ever. And if they go wrong, that's why they get a bad rap. They've got a lot of power for bad, too. Right? So your spiritual wisdom, Scorpio keepers, are like to die for, right? Sierra, on the other hand, is a Scorpio, and I worked with her for years. And I had a really good, she has 5 planets in the Scorpio. And I got stung the worst of any woman friendship when I was like 22, and I swore to God, I will never be friends with a woman that's a Scorpio ever again. And she changed it for me. So, you know, you can't ever say never. I finally met the enlightened version of it. So we want to live within the quiet ripple of water, vibrationally expanding, growing every experience, more and more connected to the Creator's nectar. What are we doing to connect with the Creator's nectar? Right? For me, it's walking in nature. It's sitting by a river, watching my dog playing in the river. Water is powerful right now because we're in Scorpio. So sitting by water, getting in the lakes, taking baths, all these things are going to lift the vibrational spirit that you're in. Getting on the earth, doing whatever we can to listen to the birds, listen to all the faces of spirit, which is nature. Birds, deer, children, laughter, you know, because like it's saying, the shadow's trying to come up. It's okay to face the shadow, but it's also, as we cry, also totally okay to be laughing your ass off, right? Laughter. Watch funny things. Get yourself seeing things that crack you up, that keep you high vibrationally, so that we don't have to go any deeper than what God is trying to bring forth in your lives at this time. So with faith and trust in our spiritual relationships, there are no challenges we cannot face or overcome. So it's really faith that there really is something at hand no matter how difficult the outer picture can look, right? Can you, like sometimes I guess that's what my calling is to share with you examples of how you build your faith in this greater something. Who felt this surge of energy from the full moon on Friday? So I would say that's like 80%, right? And the rest of you, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you didn't feel it, but for those of you that did, obviously there's something in this surge for you to awaken to, right? You get to utilize this opportunity. This is why I've been starting to bring astrology into my talks, because I follow astrology very closely. I just really believe in it. Edgar Cayce really believed in it. There's something about our sun signs. There's something about our rising signs. All those things. To learn more about who you are and how you dance in this world is the pattern that Spirit gave you to be able to have access to some answers to why. People say, I just want to know why this person died, or I just want to know why this happened. And the why is so much about our soul growth. Edgar Cayce said, we're just here to grow our souls. Many lifetimes we have been growing our souls, and some lifetimes we haven't, and we've gone backwards, and we went to drugs, and we went to alcohol, and we decided to hide from the experience. And so we came into another life that's probably a little bit harder. Testing, are you going to be able to step in sober? And God is your nectar and your spiritual happiness, right? It's about the soul growth. And you see some people go, how could this person keep waking up every day? How could they have so many difficult things? You'd think it's unimaginable that somebody could face so many things. And if they're on a spiritual path, they are the seers that are walking in the presence of your life. They're the ones that I look to and go, God is so good. Spirit is so good. Spirit is so divine in nature and divine in the midst of all of us. And so when we see a life where it's so difficult, one thing after another, you could say they got a crappy hand of cards, right? But is it the one, the really difficult lives, are they actually the saints amongst us? So that they know how to lead us to the water, to this nectar, and to show us how to drink, and then our only choice is to drink. So I grew up with a mom who homeschooled us in our elementary years for the very point of keeping us in nature. Rain or shine, We got up every day. We meditated for a half an hour. I was with my brothers. It created a deep bond between my siblings because we weren't off all in different classrooms. We were all educating each other. So my older brother's educating me. I'm educating my younger brother. I don't know how he ended up so smart. The younger one. Book smarts ain't, I'm smart, but this one is like brilliant. I will take full ownership of that. I'm just totally kidding. He would laugh right now if he saw that. And the spiritual development was first before academic, right? So it was being in nature. It was her explaining the moccasins and walking in nature. And we all had moccasins that she'd made for us because my mom has the Native American background. And explaining how we walk on this earth so gently, so not to even bother a bug, not an ant, not in anything, that we are here to be co-creators with all life, to hurt nothing, and to leave the earth the way that we found it. Talked about 7 generations ahead in protecting this planet so that we live so carefully, we recycle, we do the things, when we take showers, I was saying this the other week, we had short showers, we didn't brush our teeth with the water just running. It was just a conscious childhood, and the nature part was the most important part because we would smell pine trees, and she'd point out, tell me what they smell like, and some smell like raspberries, and some smell like chocolate, and some smell like cinnamon. I don't know if you've ever smelled a pine tree in this area, but they all smell different, and they all smell like candy. But you might not know that if you haven't hugged a tree lately, right? I love to go up to the most sappiest ones because they smell, and some just smell like pine in the greatest way, right? To identify spirit's nectar, the smells of holiness and wholeness. You don't have to go far. You don't have to go find some guru that's going to tell you that you have some special name and some reincarnation of Egypt as a princess and, yada, yada, yada. That's the bubblegum BS of this path. The truth is you all are princes, kings, and princesses of the divine. You all are perfection, and nobody has to be special because specialness separates us. Wholeness collects us, and together we are a force of love to be reckoned with. So I had that education as a child, and then we were very big in dream interpretation to visit spirit on the other side, and then at night my dad would interpret our dreams and talk about what they meant and what snakes meant and why this appeared or why your teeth were falling out of your mouth. Is it because you're probably lying to your mom, like things like this, and it's all true. It was like factual. He was like, your teeth are falling in your mouth because you're lying to your mom constantly, and it's true because she was strict and it was hard to get anything past her. That was an important part of the sermon. Edgar Cayce says, dreams are today's answers to tomorrow's questions. And that's how I was raised. So, I'm really talking about the intention to see God, really, more than our desires coming true. Really, I think our desire, if we knew that we have a direct connection with this greater something, there's a lot of things we would probably decree and change about how we go about each day. We would realize if we have this direct connection, then Spirit is moving in and through everything, and we'd become a conduit of this love, of this process, of this work. You wouldn't be working in jobs you didn't like. You wouldn't stay in relationships that were abusive. You wouldn't treat your children in a way that you wouldn't want to be treated. It's all of those things. You will live in divine alignment when you know that you are the divine alignment. There's no numbering of the avenues through which supply may come to you. So supply, I feel like, is prosperity, love, connection, careers, all of it. Your resource is as far-reaching as the universe. You are to expect your supply through all avenues of contact with life, not from a specified point, not from 2 or more specific points, but from all points of the universe. Your good is crowding toward you. Your good is crowding toward you. Whew. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of a different direction here. I'm going to share a story about my girlfriend who came into town last week. This last week, my close friend of over 25 years came into town to be surrounded by her woman friendship tribe. She lived here until about 10 years ago. We were friends in high school and all throughout all these years. When she met the love of her life and she moved to Tennessee to marry him 10 years ago. She has had the most beautiful marriage and experienced a love that many could only pray for. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with an illness last year, and he succumbed to it about 3 weeks ago. My friend was raised in the Christian faith and didn't really land in a church when she went to Tennessee. She does speak of spiritual things, but has kind of lost her grasp on her relationship with Spirit through all of this. When I found out that she was coming, I planted an intention and a desire for her well-being. I asked Spirit, use me, to articulate as best as I can to the place where she is right now of hope, of your love, of your divine plan for her. Guide my words, my energy, my frequency to open up the vortex between the human and the spiritual realm. So to offer her a reunion with her beloved, with her highest self as well. Let this build her faith in the unseen possibilities and a newfound language for communication with her soulmate and with her own soul. She ended up renting a beautiful Airbnb in this neighborhood just over here, which is just a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood, just over the ridge, with the most beautiful landscaping in the back. And many of her best friends, including myself, gathered for a few days with her. So we basically just kind of brought our suitcases, and it was a powwow, with girlfriends now going to be mirroring back to her the power that she always has been. And we know how much she has fallen into basically hanging on by a thread, maybe even only a hair. The second day she was there, I found myself outside with her in the back of the house with a beautiful hill backdrop, covered in spring flowers and gorgeous rock formations. We just sat across from each other at a picnic table on the most beautiful sunny day. For a while, we were listening to the birds sing, filling the silence between us with Spirit flowing between both of us. When she breaks the silence and shares that her husband's passing was the hardest thing she has ever gone through or witnessed. I then let space happen again, allowing these words to percolate between both of us. After silence, I asked her, has she had any visitations and dreams or inner feelings of his presence? The silence was palpable. The words it's the silence between the words where so much more is being said than what we were saying. The silence of being just heart to heart. But the palpable was just a sense of something bigger in this moment. She said, other people in the family have had experiences, but I have not. And she looked so lost, so broken, and we just sat there with tears running down, and then more silence. So I looked at her eventually and I said, I know all seems so unfair, and I know it feels like you will never feel good again. But I also know that you will be able to find meaning in all of this. But right now it's all so dense, so overwhelming. Your heart is broken. And this is partially why you aren't having any communication. And then again, silence, waiting for Spirit to evoke what's next. I looked in her eyes and I said, he's not in pain anymore. She said, yes, nodding. And I said, you have a choice to live in the trauma of the last moments, or you can decide to bask in the memory of your love and allow the natural grieving process to begin. She says, I don't know how to do that. I told her I was going to reach out to a close friend of mine, Carissa Ayers, a sound healer, to help midwife an experience with the ethereal, to allow a possible visitation and or connection with her love. I asked her if she was willing to do that or try that, and she said, I don't know what to expect, but yes. Then silence. Then I said, you know that you can start talking with him and asking him to show you a sign that he is here. That night I stayed over, and the next morning when she woke up, she came to the living room and says, I woke up with him holding and hugging me. She said she didn't see his face, but she felt him completely. And then tears, but this time the tears were soft. Her body was relaxed, and I knew. My intention for my part in this visit was ever expanding and happening before my eyes. So I share this to point out that I don't know when I'm going to make that intention, if Spirit is going to serve in the way that I was asking or the intention that I was bringing, but I knew no matter what, that if I was going to put my being out there, and a being that meditates every day, as a person that walks in nature, that walks softly on this planet, that if there was anybody that could help this process, I'm ready to be the conduit for this moment for her. But it still surprises me when you have the moment and she walks out, and we haven't even done the ceremony yet, and she says she's been held by her husband, and a current has now changed. There's a different feeling in this home. Edgar Casey, in the work of reputable mediums and so on, strongly indicates that dreams are among the ways that the deceased can get through to the living. Vivid dreams of a deceased loved one, therefore, are most likely real visits and communications, not figments of our imagination or wishing thinking. So when you realize that light is where you are, and it is the complete answer to what you need, now and always. The light you seek is not somewhere else, but where you are. Don't ask God to guide you or beg God to make the choice for you. Instead, affirm that you are in the flow of light. You are in it. It is in you. It is the reality of you. It is not something to reach for, but a truth to accept. Know that there is that in you that knows the right and perfect direction for your life, and affirm that you are now acting under that guiding light. So there's a resolve to how that healing session went, and I'm going to be sharing that next week. And that one will be on the divine law of giving, and it won't be about money, it's about giving. Where are we giving back to the universe? But so I'm going to take you on a sound bowl healing journey so you can get a little bit of a feeling of what happened there. When you focus upon the bowls, just see them resonating and bringing yourself in homeostasis. So Edgar Casey said that, I have this written somewhere. Edgar Casey predicted that the medicine of the future would be music, sound, and light. Nothing else will be needed. Nothing else will be necessary. And you want to invite your friends next week for me to share what happened for this person and every person that was a part of the sound bath. Think of the areas you want to heal right now. Bring up the relationship, bring up the work, bring up whatever area is not in balance. And let these bowls move in and through your being. See yourself healing. Revealing and restoring you to wholeness. Aligning, seeing, believing, and being. Allowing, surrendering, right here, right now. When you believe it, you will see it, and you are worthy, so allow it. And now you are home, whole, perfect, complete, at ease. With that said, we say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, thank you. All is good, all is calm, all is perfect, all is. Amen. Oh, go ahead.
Let us be grateful that unity embraces all this. It teaches us how to be in tune with all those cycles and flow of the earth and the cosmos. Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, talked about how to start that connection. He said, you must first enter into the understanding that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. That God is the source, and that you can draw on the source without limit. So today, when you're donating, you are embracing this omnipotent nature of God. And your gift today is that act of faith that allows you to tap into that nectar that Santisha was talking about. And I think one of the greatest ways to use giving as a transformational tool is to volunteer. We do need volunteers, and it's such a powerful way to put yourself into the flow. So consider that as one of the ways to donate. Call the office, and we'll get you tapped into this community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve. So we have all, once again, received. We're open. We're growing. Mankind is evolving, even though it may look like we're taking so many backward steps. There's so much conflict we have to deal with yet. The fact is that mankind will evolve. Even out of the difficulties collectively that we're meeting, we're going to evolve out of that. And we have the opportunity in unity to be the vanguard, the first of those who come to the realization of the presence of God available to bless, heal, and lift us through every situation in our lives. That's what Santisha is sharing. That's why we are so blessed to be here today. So let's bring to mind that gift. Let's bring into our hands that gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And we have the opportunity to listen to Sierra's group. What's your name?
Likely Story.
Likely Story. Okay. Fantastic.
Thank you. You'll recognize this song by the Beatles. Sing along if you'd like.
It turns me on, because the world is round. Because the wind is high, it blows my mind. Because the sky is blue, it makes me cry. Because the sky is blue, Thank you.
Wow. That was some haunting harmonies. Love, love, love. All right, well, today we have a potluck after the service. If you don't have a dish to share, there is plenty for you to join us, so please just stay and join us. We'll be serving the food in about 10 minutes, so we have enough time to get it all out. And then there will be, if you want to have a discussion about the sermon afterwards, there'll be a table for those who'd like to discuss the sermon afterwards, and I'll sit at the table. We can eat food together, and we'll have a chat there. And otherwise, you can sit at the tables where Norma and Jack and Mike and everybody else is. All right,
yes, but if you want to, you can actually take a little trip to the 7-Eleven Caddy Corner or to King Supers, only 2 blocks away. Bring something as well.
Yeah, get
But
something at 7-Eleven.
do show up, even if you don't have anything. That's great. We have prayer partners.
Yeah. All right. Do we have
prayer partners.
prayer partners available to you that are right over here? If you're facing a challenge today, you can stay seated in your seat, and they will come and find you and take you down to our beautiful meditation room and pray with you. So take advantage of that beautiful prayer potential for healing. All right. Let's all rise, and let's close with I release and I let go.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life.